It's my honor and privilege to introduce to you tonight Dr. Daniel Condron. He's been devoting himself to metaphysics for the last 40 years. Over those years, he's written 20 books, more than 20 books, where he's focused on holy works and interpreting them, as well as healing and wholeness. His most popular book is Permanent Healing, which describes how our mental thoughts influence and affect a physical cause and disease in our life. In this presentation this evening, he'll be talking about how one can attain spiritual growth and enlightenment and any impediments that get in the way of that. He'll be referring to a book called the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu holy work, for the presentation. It's my honor and privilege to introduce to you Dr. Daniel Condron.
So the subject might be stated as how we got here, where we came from, why we're here, where we're going, who we are. So the subject starts with oneness. And from oneness, what do you want to call it, creator, God, something has a beginning, it seems like. And creation has a beginning. And so in this creation, then, in the state of oneness, oneness needs experience. So in this experience, oneness desires experience. So since oneness is all there is, oneness extends itself. And in extending itself, it creates another. We could call that Father God, and then we create another, which is Divine Mother. So then from that oneness is create a duality, or two. Mother, Father, Divine Father, Divine Mother, however you choose to call it, aggressive, receptive, yin and yang, male and female, so on. From that duality then, seeking more experience, particularly from the yin, feminine, Divine Mother side, there is the expression or movement outward, and this movement outward then produces the three, and from the 3, 4, 7, 7, 12, 12 times 12 is 24, 12 times 12 is 144,000. Many, many beings or entities, souls if you will, spirits, that we are. Souls being part of the oneness, or without experience. Creator has oneness because the Creator has extended himself. But the children, the I Ams, do not have experience. So they are in a state of oneness, but without experience. So they need experience. We need experience. So the solution was, well, everything's one, so how are you going to get experience? So the solution was create the illusion of separation. If we have an illusion of separation, we can create experiences of our own and learn and grow through them to discover or rediscover at a higher level, from infancy, adolescence, adulthood, the wisdom of the true nature of reality as oneness. So that desire for experience and for growth and for maturity then led to the creation of the levels of mind and consciousness. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Superconscious, divisions of mind, superconscious, subconscious, and conscious mind, all the way into the physical. Each movement out through each level of mind was a movement into a greater illusion of separation. So, for those of you that have been shown the mind triangle or the mind diagram, you notice that it's at the top, it's a triangle, so it's a point, and it gets wider and wider. Two lines on the sides get wider and wider apart until you get to the bottom. That shows, that indicates in a symbolic way how that separation, the illusion of separation, is greater and greater and greater the farther we move out from light, God, awareness, into our physical understanding of life as it is. At first we moved from superconscious mind to subconscious mind, and then we were observing the seventh level. However, we wanted more experience in that, so there was an opportunity to, once the humanoid body was created, or developed, or evolved, however you want to say it, then there was the opportunity to experience in that body. Repeatedly doing that caused then the setting up the cycle of reincarnation or rebirth and karma, so that we were then on that cycle of incarnating in a physical body and staying in it through a lifetime without the ability just to jump in and out. That illusion of separation remains. Now, what are the five senses? The five senses, physical senses, were evolved with the physical body. They are evolved as tools, survival tools, or functional tools for functioning in a world of separation and be able to survive, hopefully prosper. So if you think of it, each of the five senses tell us that we are separate. So if you look at me, I'm looking at you, you look at something 10 feet away, 100 feet away, it looks separate from you. If you hear a sound, it seems to be coming from a distance, and so it seems separate from you, you or me. Same way with the sense of smell, even to touch, sense of touch. To touch something, we have to go approach it. It either has to come to us or we have to go to it. So it seems separate until we touch it. Same with the sense of taste. We have to put it in the mouth, go someplace, get the food, procure it, reach out for it from a distance, put it in our mouth. So all the five senses seem to indicate to us over and over and over again, from the time of birth on, that we are separate from everyone and everything in the universe. So that's the way we function, and that's the way we survive. And then to know more, we come to practice time-honored techniques or exercises and practices, disciplines of the mind, consciousness, and being. So when we meditate, we are closing the eyes and going within and receiving from the higher self and receiving the oneness, receiving the divine love. God is love, love is God. So the whole universe is really created from love, with the sense, but that always has to do with oneness. And so to the degree that the illusion of separation is accepted is the degree to which we don't understand love. So the senses gives it that illusion of separation, but when we practice exercises such as meditation, we discover more oneness between conscious and subconscious and the superconscious, and within us, within our whole being, and with us to everything and every being and everything in creation. When we practice concentration exercise, we practice stilling the mind and disciplining the mind and concentrating and focusing the attention and learning we have space between our thoughts. Not only do we learn to recognize our thoughts, but we learn the space between our thoughts. And then we learn from that, we learn that we are not our thoughts. And it's really in the space between our thoughts that we discover and know, remember who we are. And then we practice visualization, and we find out, oh, I can create images. I'm not just thinking words, but I can think in pictures. And the words actually describe the pictures. So then we learn through dream interpretation, through visualization, to focus on pictures, images. It's been said that one picture is worth 1,000 words. So when we see in pictures, we increase the power of our mind as a functional device for us. And then we learn life force exercise, and we visualize life force pouring in through the medulla, through our body, and exercises. But each of these, which shows us that teaches that we're connected with the whole universe, and the life force is everywhere, all the time, and come from superconscious mind. So all these exercises, in a way, override what the five senses tell us. That's why they're so powerful, because they give you the true nature reality instead of an illusion. It doesn't mean you have to stop using the senses, because they're necessary for functioning in the physical world. But you don't rely upon them for the ultimate truth about things. So once we accept separation, the illusion, versus oneness, connectedness, the true reality, that's when pain and suffering begin. And the first illusion that comes from the second illusion that comes from the first illusion of separation is fear. Why? Because we're separate. If we accept that we're separate, we're very weak and almost powerless. We don't have very much power. And it's a big bad universe out there. Whereas if we're one with the whole universe, there's nothing to fear, because it's all us. And it's all God's love. If we accept the illusion of separation, then the darkness begins. Because God is love, love and light. So if we accept the illusion of something that doesn't exist or is not real, then there's not the light. So then we accept darkness and fear. And then from fear come all these other qualities that in Bhagavad Gita calls demone. If you see it on the chart there, that there's listed the dream of consciousness, qualities of freedom, desire qualities of freedom. These are the qualities of connectedness. First one is fearlessness. What does that mean? Fear less. Less fear. So operate from love instead of fear. Oneness instead of separation. And then from that comes all the others. Purity of heart, because love is centered in the heart. Commitment to the real self, the inner self, not just commitment to the illusion of separation. Giving freely, because everything's connected. So whatever you give comes back to you in many fold. Jesus said, cast your bread upon the waters, and after many days they'll return to you. He also said, as you give, so shall you receive. Control of the mind, because the mind must be mastered, the body must be mastered. The mind is a vehicle, just like the body's a vehicle. The mind is a vehicle to know the self, so that must be mastered too. That's why we practice concentration and meditation. So we practice control of the mind in order to master or know consciousness, pure being, pure awareness. And then we sacrifice the limitations. And what are those limitations that we sacrifice? The ones that are based upon the illusion of separation, which ultimately are found to be not real. Now they may seem real at the time, but they all will be temporary. That's the ultimate test of something, if something's real or not. And you could say, well, there's degrees of reality. This 4 we're setting on real, or we wouldn't be setting on it. Yeah. But if you want the ultimate reality, the true test of ultimate reality is it permanent and lasting and real? If it's temporary, it doesn't meet all the qualifications for ultimate reality. Studying, realizing the truth of Scripture, because when you study Scriptures, you're studying the teachings of people that have gone before you that have learned the highest truths to the degree that they were enlightened. whatever degree they were. If they were fully enlightened, then they know the highest truths. And so by studying the scriptures, and that means reading them, but also contemplating them, practicing in your life, then you come to know, then you reinforce the truth. Even though the five senses may be telling you a falsehood of separation every day, you're studying the scriptures that tells you the true nature of reality. Oh, and then you practice it and apply it. And then as you practice and apply the true nature of reality, you find, oh, I like the true nature of reality better than the false one, even though the false one looks great. Self-discipline, discipline of consciousness, of mind, body, simplicity. If you notice on the mind triangle, if you think about it, the higher in consciousness it goes, the narrower the triangle it is. So the higher in consciousness it goes, the more simplistic it is. If you look at just an example, the car you drive, very complicated device, parts from all over the world. One or two parts can go bad, it won't take you anyplace. So very, very complicated, very, very many parts. That's the way of technology, is complication. The way of higher consciousness, the way of spirituality is simplicity, simplify. Non-injury, why? I'm another yourself. The mind statement goes, I'm another yourself. Do unto others, Jesus said, do unto others, you do unto you. So the mind statement explains from the minds of Central America, the mind statement explains why what Jesus says is true and why you practice it. Do unto others, you would have them do unto you. Why? Because I'm another yourself. Non-injury. Truth, because we have to operate from the highest truth. And the higher truths you operate from, the more the truth is oneness, loving light. Freedom from anger. That's usually built on the idea of the illusion of separation, and also from powerlessness. Reincarnation, we dream reborn over and over again. So I could go through this list, each one. Peace, as you have higher consciousness, more peace. 15, aversion to fault finding. So when you're finding fault in yourself and others, instead look for the truth, the higher truth, for yourself and for others. Compassion toward all living beings. The Buddha taught compassion because compassion is, I'm another yourself. Oneness. It comes from oneness. Freedom from greed, because greed is always based on the illusion of separation. I've got to get all I can right now. Am I going to get my next money, my this, my that, this? And it's all temporary because it's all already yours. Gentleness, purity, steady determination, vigor, radiance, forgiveness. Forgiveness is always based on the past. True reality is found in the present moment. Patience and fortitude. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So each day, you make progress. So when you first start doing the candle concentration exercise or meditation, and you notice, oh, this is okay, but maybe you didn't notice that much change or difference for a few days, and over the weeks and months you did it, oh, I've got a lot more awareness of my attention, where it's at, and my thoughts. And I can direct my thoughts with conscious choice. Cleanliness of body and mind, freedom from envy, greed. I already talked about greed, lack of conceit. That's qualities of the ego. So the egos, I'll bring this part in. So the ego, which is the false self, or the temporary self, being the innate intelligence of the physical body, well, functions from the illusion of separation, because it functions from the information, experience, maybe knowledge it brings in through the five senses. That's what it has to go on. So it's going to try to make decisions based on the idea or concept of survival and getting the most pleasure out of a physical life based on the illusion of separation. Which is not so bad if you're an animal, but when you've got something animals don't have, which is an increased forebrain, so you can reason, and also you're a soul inhabiting a physical body, it doesn't work so good because you miss the purpose of life, which is to know about oneness and love and light. So then the dream of separation you see up there is pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, cruelty, harshness. So it's interesting that there's this from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, by the way. If you want to look it up in there. There aren't near as many given for the dream of separation, but they sure seem powerful, don't they? Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, cruelty, harshness. And the cause of the dream, fear versus love. But now, fear is not the opposite of love, so it probably isn't quite correct to say fear versus love. It probably is more correct to say oneness or loving light versus the compared to the illusion of separation, which produces fear. It would be more accurate or more detailed. 3 gates to hell: lust, anger, greed. If you distill it down to those 3, because they're all based on the illusion of separation. So these are the qualities. So what's the solution then? Love that leads to oneness, loving light. So we practice oneness, we practice concentration exercise, we practice meditation exercise, we practice loving light, circle of love. Excuse me. And we practice, and in all those, we practice the true nature reality. And so you can say it from a God perspective. We're gaining oneness with God. If you think of God based on the illusion the 5 senses tell you, you'll think that God is separate from you up in the clouds somewhere, on another planet or someplace. If you accept the truth of oneness, then you'll be able to say, know, and be, as Jesus did, I and the Father are one. That means no separation. So right there he told you is one of his greatest truths that he knew and he discovered. No separation. Oneness is another way to say no separation. So to be like Jesus, or to attain Christ consciousness or the Christhood, you have to know your oneness, as Jesus called it, Abba, Father. I am the Father one, oneness with God, oneness with Divine Mother, oneness with the All, oneness with all creation. So that comes through awareness. Awareness is what is, which I call loving light. And so that's the real choice we made. We made a choice that to accept an illusion of separation, although we might have not known it was an illusion at the time. That's what we did. So now our duty is to discover, remember, know who we really are. There's 2 kind of ways of approaching this. One way, and we talk more about it this way in the School of Metaphysics, is building permanent understandings of self and creation until we're fully enlightened. And then there's another way that says, oh, you have to remember who you are. You have to remember who you are. And that's true also. However, if we just remembered who we were and we were still in infancy with reason and all those qualities, then we would kind of miss the point of why we came through all the levels of mind and incarnate in the physical anyway. So by building the permanent understandings of self and creation, we can remember who we are, but not be in infancy anymore. We can be in adolescence, adulthood, and wisdom, the 4 stages, the higher stages of that, which is more like the Creator. If you accept that the Creator is in adulthood and wisdom. So that would be being like Father in heaven. So that's the choice to always to ask yourself day to day: is this thoughts I'm thinking? Is this choice I'm making? Is this consciousness I have? Is this decision I'm making? Is this from a condition of oneness, or is this a thought decision of separation? What profiteth a man to gain the whole world if he loses his own soul? That's one way it's been said. Separate the wheat from the chaff is another way. The chaff is temporary stuff that doesn't feed you, and the wheat is what feeds you, knowledge for the whole self. So we have these choices to make, and that's where they lead. it's nice that the Bhagavad Gita gave us so many different ways and so many different practices, more positive than negative. And that's, in a way, that's true, because when you focus on the true reality, your options, your opportunities increase. Opportunities, situations, circumstances, blessings, people, places, things that come into your life, you come into their life, come to you that would have never come before. You become a greater attractor field. The higher you raise your consciousness, the greater your attractor field. So full enlightenment, if we use those words, like Christ or Buddha, Krishna, and so on, Zarathustra, then their consciousness surrounds, encompasses, has spread out to the whole planet. The whole planet. And so that consciousness is there as an impetus or as an aid for anyone becoming enlightened. So it is my perception that because a Buddha became enlightened 2,500 years and Christ becomes Christ 2,000 years ago, and so on and so forth, each time this happens, it doesn't make it necessarily easy to become enlightened, but it makes it easier than it was before, because it's raised the consciousness of the whole planet, and it's permeated or inculcated the vibratory field of the planet with that high consciousness to a degree. And so every time you raise your consciousness, you'll and hold it there permanently, then you increase your attractor field for what is permanent and lasting and real, and therefore pleasurable and oneness in your life, because everybody likes to draw to them kindness, lovingness, joy, peace, awareness, fulfillment, harmony, love, light, high consciousness. Everybody, when they experience it, most everybody likes that. The only reason people don't like it is because they've decided, or might think they don't like it, is if they hate themselves and don't like themselves, but usually that will wear down if they're in the presence of people that do have it over time. So each day as you do your exercises, each day you come to school, each day you participate in things at school, each responsibility you accept that's greater than what you had before, gives you an opportunity to practice, to raise your attractor field through your raising your consciousness to a higher level, and then to continue practice making that higher field permanent. So for the rest of your life, if you have another lifetime, it'll be in the next lifetime. If you finish your stay on earth and don't need to reincarnate, then you'll have it with you always. So it's always to your benefit. Every exercise is always to your benefit. And if you have resistance to any exercise, fruit day, life course, candle, concentration, meditation, whatever it is, then that is where the greatest resistance is. So that's where probably, by staying with it and breaking through that resistance, you'll probably have your greatest realization, because that will probably be where you'll go beyond karma, that particular karma, definitely that particular limitation, how or whenever it was set up. Maybe you never went through it in past lives, or maybe it was karmic that probably need to just go beyond the limitation you never went before. And so that will feel very good. And it will mean that limitations or problems that you've attracted in your life before, you will no longer attract those anymore. And so people, places, and things you're drawn to that give you more fulfillment. Okay, that's the main part of the story. Illusion or of separation, or the truth of oneness. Loving light or separation fear, and all the things of God.